Out in the vast, sun-scorched landscapes of southern Africa, there lives a true master of survival. It's an incredible symbol of resilience in one of the toughest environments on the planet. Today, we're diving into the world of the Gemsbok. I mean, just look at it. With those spear-like horns and that striking black and white face, the Gemsbok is a sight you won't forget. But its looks are matched by its unbelievable toughness. This is an animal that doesn't just put up with the desert, it has completely mastered it, and it thrives where very few other large animals even stand a chance.
So that's the big question, right? How did they do it? How do they conquer a world of such insane extremes? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down the incredible toolkit of adaptations that makes the Gemsbok a true desert warrior.
We'll start with a close-up on this desert icon. Then we'll look at the extreme challenges it's up against and uncover its built-in superpower for staying cool. After that, we'll explore its clever social life. And finally, we'll see exactly why it's such a powerful defender. All right, first things first, let's get properly introduced to this magnificent creature. The Gemsbok is actually the largest and most powerful of all the Oryx species. Their markings give them this totally unique look. The body is a pale sandy gray, great for camouflage, which contrasts with a really bright white belly. Then you have these bold black accents running right down the spine and across the rump, and these intricate patterns on its face that almost look like a mask. Even its legs are two-toned, black on top and white below the knees. Now, to really appreciate the Gemsbok, you have to understand the world it calls home. We're talking about the arid grasslands and rocky deserts of southern Africa. I mean, it is a true gauntlet of survival. Their main turf is the Kalahari, an environment with very little vegetation, not a lot of water, and just wild temperature swings. To survive here, an animal can't just be tough, it has to be brilliantly designed for it. And the Gemsbok is exactly that. And here is one of its most amazing tricks. To save every last drop of water, a Gemsbok will actually stop itself from sweating. It does this by letting its own body temperature climb from a normal 35.7 degrees Celsius all the way up to a blistering 45 degrees. That's 113 degrees Fahrenheit. For almost any other mammal, that would be completely fatal. So how on earth does it handle that crazy internal heat without, cooking its own brain? Well, it has a built-in biological superpower. It all comes down to something called selective brain cooling. The Gemsbok can let its body get incredibly hot, but only as long as it protects its most vital, heat-sensitive organ, the brain. And the piece of anatomy that makes this all possible is called the rete mirabile. Now, that's Latin for wonderful net, which is just the perfect name for it. It's this complex web of blood vessels right at the base of the brain that works like a super efficient heat exchanger. This diagram shows you how it's laid out. The artery you see in red is carrying hot blood from the body up towards the brain. But, and this is the key part, before it gets there, it has to pass through this wonderful net of blood vessels. The whole process is so elegant and simple. First, the Gemsbok breathes in. The air moving through its big nasal passages cools down the blood in that area. That cool blood then flows into the wonderful net where it surrounds the hot artery that's headed for the brain. It's kind of like a radiator in a car. The heat transfers from the hot blood to the cool blood, which basically air conditions the brain's blood supply. And this graph shows you the results in real time. It's amazing. The gray line shows the body's blood temperature, and you can see it spiking during the hottest part of the day. But look at the black line. That's the brain temperature. Thanks to the rete mirabile, it stays way cooler and much more stable. That is a true superpower in action. But, survival isn't just about having cool internal hardware. Gemsboks also have a whole set of clever behaviors for how they eat, how they socialize, and how they raise their young. They get almost all the water they need right from their food. They're mostly grazers, but they are super resourceful. They'll dig for juicy roots, and they'll seek out things like wild melons for their water content. And here's the really smart part. They do a lot of their grazing at night when it's cooler, because the plants themselves actually hold more moisture then. They'll even eat soil from time to time to pick up essential minerals. There are also some clear differences between males and females. The males, or bulls, are a bit bigger and heavier, and they have thicker horns. They're also territorial. They'll stake out and defend their patch of land. The females, on the other hand, tend to form what are called nursery herds, which are basically cooperative groups of other females and all their young calves. And speaking of calves, Gemsbok have a really specific way of protecting their newborns. For the first 3 to 6 weeks of its life, a calf doesn't actually follow its mom around. Instead, it uses what's called a hider strategy. The mother will leave it hidden away in the grass while she goes off to graze, and she'll only come back a few times a day to nurse it. Then, once the calf is strong enough and not quite so vulnerable, it finally leaves its hiding spot and joins its mother in the main herd. It's a strategy that gives the young Gemsbok the best possible start in a world that's pretty full of predators.
That strategy helps protect the young ones, but adult Gemsboks have another line of defense. And this brings us to their most iconic feature, those incredible horns. On average, these horns are about 33 inches long. I mean, think about that. That's almost 3 feet of sharp, lethal weapon, and both the males and the females have them.
And they really know how to use them. These horns are incredibly effective against predators. A common tactic for a Gemsbok is to back itself into a thorny bush that protects its vulnerable rear so it can face any attacker head-on with those horns. Now, when territorial males fight, it's a bit more for show. It involves more hooking and pushing than any deadly stabs. So when you put it all together, the specialized diet, the smart behaviors, those formidable defenses, and of course, that incredible internal air conditioner, this description just feels absolutely perfect. The Gemsbok really is one of nature's most flawlessly adapted desert survivors. You know, the story of the Gemsbok and its wonderful net is such a great reminder that there are still so many amazing secrets out there in the natural world. It really makes you wonder, what other incredible solutions and hidden superpowers are just waiting to be discovered?